Let's get recording. Hey Léon, thanks for being here. So so obviously this is our first sort of meetup for BD Matters since we relaunched, and so we're building up the membership base, and for those of you who are kind of new to BD Matters, it's all about empowering people in BD. We're going to be discussing matters, like today about recruitment, growth, but every sort of topic in terms of building a sales funnel, converting, and winning new business. And obviously we had a relaunch. We've got Anne Harlow, who's recently joined. So she's our new MD, which is very exciting, and so we've got a lot of plans in the pipeline for BD Matters. And the other week we had a launch party, so about 60 people in Old Street managed to make it to that, and it was great having a sort of first physical event, and we're planning the next one, which is hopefully a summer party, so looking at some rooftop bars, so hopefully that should be quite fun. So yeah, it's been a crazy couple of weeks since we sort of relaunched, but we've got about sort of 20 odd new members that have started, and this is just the beginning. So today we are going to be discussing recruitment and people management. Is that all right? Can I call it people management? I know your expertise are beyond just recruitment, and we're lucky to be joined by Léon Milns, that we are Adam. So Léon, do you want to just introduce yourself a little bit? Tell us who you are, where you come from.
I'll keep it short and sweet. So yeah, firstly, Adam, and thanks for having me. Really appreciate the offer to come and talk to you and your members. So my name is Léon Milns. I am the co-founder of a business called We Are Adam. We launched approx 15 years ago, and I guess in short, we help ambitious agencies and brands find great people. So you can imagine I've got a few extra grey hairs over the last 6-12 months because there is a massive demand for people and a real shortage. Specifically, we help businesses and agencies of all sizes, from startup, fast growth, SME, PE-backed, PLC type businesses, so we can really turn our hand at that. And I guess the key skill sets that we can introduce our clients to is traditional marketing, digital marketing, e-commerce, commercial, growth, new business, however you want to phrase it, and strategy planning and innovation, and HR professionals.
Great. Okay, perfect. So I guess the good place to start is with the crazy world that we are living in. And I mean, what the hell is going on? Have you ever lived through a time that is quite as busy as this in terms of roles?
No. And I probably start whenever I talk to any clients, new or prospective clients. I've been in the industry 20 years now, and it has never been as nuts as it is now. I think whenever I talk to any clients, I ask them, big open question, what your key challenge is. Probably the first one, or the second one is people. Where the hell are they? Bit of context, I guess, to maybe give a bit of narrative on why is there such a challenge to find good people. I think let's cast our mind back 2 years. So when the pandemic hit, all businesses just put the brakes on hiring, because no one knew what the heck was going to go on in the world, in our businesses, were we going to have businesses, all that kind of stuff. So everyone just froze in terms of the growth. As businesses started to adapt and evolve to the remote working, and we all actually realized that we could be just as productive working remotely, businesses started to grow again. So at the end of 2020, we saw a bit of a growth curve. However, there wasn't enough supply for that growth curve, because people were still rightly very, very nervous and tentative. Put yourself in the shoes of employees in a business. If you've been in a role for 2-3 years, you're doing well, you're on a personal development plan, and you're a little bit nervous about what's going to happen if we have another wave of COVID, you're just going to stay put. Why put yourself with a pseudo target on your back? If you leave a business, join a new business, there's a potential of last in, first out. So there's literally maybe a third of the talent market that just aren't going to leave. So that means that's smallened, that is a word. Secondly, I think throughout COVID, businesses, business owners, business leaders, senior leadership in all business have realized more so than ever that people are the greatest asset in every business. So what people have done cleverly is made sure that the visions of in the direction of travel that a business is traveling in is exciting. It's got a purpose behind it. There's meaning behind it. And every individual within that business knows what their singular contribution to making that vision a reality is. They've also made sure that everyone's on a personal development plan for the next 12 months or so. They've evolved the cultures to a more flexible, empowered, remote working culture. And they've made sure that people are being paid in accordance with their market value. So if all those pillars are being ticked, someone like myself will come along and tap someone on the shoulder and say, hey, how you doing? I've got this great opportunity with this business. People will just say, well, that sounds great, but I'm totally bought into where I am at the moment, because this is happening, and this is what I'm going to do, and this is where I'll be in 12 months, and da-da-da-da-da. Yeah. So it's just making it a lot harder for people like us or business owners to seduce people to leave one business to join another. People are prepared to leave one and join another, but everything has to be exactly on point. If anything isn't on point, they won't consider it, which is right.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to unpack some of that, because I think, we can't make the assumption that people are getting this all right. And I'm sure loads of people are making mistakes and falling down in the middle. I mean, just being obviously a BD community, like, we post jobs on a job board, and, even we've been inundated with roles in the past year or so, constantly. I mean, I make assumptions. I don't know if you've got any insights to this, but I make assumptions that probably, like, as people are returning to growth and the market and expenditure sort of opens up, people go, I need more BD people. Is that a sensible assumption, or is there anything you've seen around BD roles on the rise? Yeah.
Well, we've got plenty of commercial roles that we're looking to hire for our clients at the moment. And I think great commercial BD people are like diamonds in the rough, to be honest with you. If you've got a great person, hold on to them. We are finding that counter offers are going bananas at the moment, especially with great BD people, because as business owners or people, you need, if you've got a great business developer, you need to hold on to them, because they are, they're creating the lifeblood of the future revenue generation for your agency, and you need to hold on to them. I think I've met so many agency owners over the years who are basically responsible for doing their own business development. And so many of them have taken that leap and said, right, we need to hand that over to a business development manager or a business development director, because, it takes so much time, and they need someone to own that commercial pillar. So getting someone who can come in, share the compelling narrative about an agency, the uniqueness of an agency, and go and deliver and just crack on with the commercial growth is so important to hold on to them.
And I agree. And I think one of the things we've always battled with, right, is getting agency owners to understand business development, right? And so they say, I need a BD person. Now, in your experience, because this drives me mad, because a BD person could be a million things to me, right? Yeah. Like, if there's 20 pillars or levers, right, they might be stronger in sort of PR or marketing or copywriting or event management or email, outbound prospecting, pitching. I mean, the list goes on and on, right? Do you have that conversation with clients when they say, I need a BD person? And you're like, do they understand how complicated a BD role is, and where their weaknesses might lie and what they actually need or not?
I think you're right. I think, people underestimate how sophisticated an actual business development role is to execute. And I do think agency owners, when I speak to them, when they say, we need a BD person, who have you got on your books? I'm just like, it doesn't work like that. A couple
of magicians in the cupboard.
Yeah, it doesn't work like that. These people don't sit on databases. They don't need to, because if they're doing well, they've got a brilliant pipeline of business that they're transacting, nurturing, all that kind of stuff, and they're earning well. So they don't just sit on databases. But as you say, I think when I ask, when we have a discovery session with a client, we do really drill down. What exactly is the specific skills you're looking for in your BD person, and what support are they going to have? I think people just expect you to, as you say, magician a BD person and come on board and start delivering the donuts. But it's, as you say, it's about What's your content engagement plan like? What's your CRM system like? What's all these different pillars to support? What the foundation is like to enable this person to really go and deliver for you. Yeah. And you'll be gobsmacked. So many agencies have half of that, or even a third of it in situ. Yeah. Or some of them don't even have it in situ. God knows how they've actually done the business.
It's a great question. What support are they going to have? Because, like, what do you mean? I would expect the answer just to be nothing at that point. Yeah. So if you're trying to attract BD talent, and I guess this applies for probably any talent, like, what are candidates looking for at the moment?
So as I touched on earlier, people want to work in a business where there's strong leadership, first and foremost. They want to be inspired by leaders who know exactly the direction of travel that the business or the agency is going in. So
just on leadership, just expand on that a little bit, because I don't think I think there's a lack of leadership in a lot of businesses, and I think MDs, CEOs might call themselves leaders, but what does a leader mean to you and to a candidate? What are you looking for?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I've been running my business. I'm co-founder of my business for the last 15 years, and I'm constantly asking myself, what are my strengths as a leader? How can I improve as a leader? I think what people are looking for from a BD perspective in a leader is, a business that has a proposition, a uniqueness in the proposition, which they can clearly articulate. So articulating that, and I guess a good leader is prepared to empower this individual, this business development people, or everyone in their business to deliver on the role that they are being paid to do. So empowering, trusting that individual to deliver, but also being able to be here as a sounding board if that individual has a bit of a problem or a headache or an itch that needs scratching. So approachability, assistance, trusting. I think definitely good leaders trust their employees. At the end of the day, we pay people to go and work for us, so you've got to trust that they're going to deliver in line with what the role dictates. I think I've probably covered most of them. There's probably others, but I could probably witter on and on and on. But
I was just thinking, like, on the vision side, I think the thing that normally lets business leaders down that I see is that vision and mission and things like that can mean different things to different people. And when I ask people a vision, say in the context of just me and the business owner, the things I might get back are monetary and size of company. So I might get back, I want to grow to 20 employees. I don't want to be too big, but I don't want to be too small. And I want, £2 million turnover, right? Now, that as a vision to me always struck me as how uninspiring is that to a BD person and to someone who joins your company. And I think maybe, I don't know if you've had experience of that, but I'm just wondering, there seems to be a massive gap between a vision that is inspiring and motivating to a set of employees and a vision that is just going to fill your bank balance so you can sell the business in 5 years and fuck off, which no one's interested in but you. And I don't think many have the former.
There's definitely a disconnect there. No, I totally agree with you, because what might drive the leader? We turn over £1 million now. We've got an EBITDA of 20% or 200k, and we want to take that to £2 million and 400 grand EBITDA. That is of no interest probably to your employees, because if they've not got a shareholding in the business, how's that going to benefit them? So I think the clever way of weaving that together is we have a vision to be the best in class in performance marketing in the FMCG space. This is where we're playing at now. We want to work with these specific people, or whatever it might well be. If you can paint that picture of this is where we're going and this is where we want to get to, there's more of a tangibility to it. And
it's more about the work and the
inclusive, more of an inclusive. This is the kind of work we're going to deliver on behalf of these key clients, and this is how we're going to get there.
Yeah, makes sense. So so sorry, I cut you off a bit with leadership, but what else are candidates looking for, do you think, in sort of choosing? I mean, we've obviously talked about the leadership and the proposition. What are the other kind of key?
Yeah, I think nowadays, post-pandemic, it's a compelling culture. Let's go back to pre-pandemic. It was who's got the beanbags, who's got the table tennis tables, and who's got the bar open for 4 o'clock on a Friday afternoon. That is all obsolete now. Because of the way the working world has gone. People want to work within a business where it's an evolved culture, where there's a flexible working environment, where they can come in and have a couple of days work in an office, in an agency, and work from Wednesday at home or Thursday be here, and even work remotely abroad. I think that kind of mindset, that evolved mindset, is what is attracting people. So the real, I guess, seamless transition between work and life balance, work-life balance, is absolutely crucial, and that's what the best people are looking for. The first question all talent ask us now when we approach them about an opportunity, regardless of whether it's a BD role, any opportunity, is what's the flexible working policy? So it's not a nice to have, it is an expectation that a business now has flexible working. And if you don't have flexible working, you'd be gobsmacked to hear that some businesses have gone back to the archaic pre-pandemic. They want people in the office 5 days a week. People just will not look at those businesses.
Yeah, and that makes sense. I mean, I think I do empathise a little bit on both sides as a business owner myself. And look, we employ people, you know, that live all over the country, right? And some have relocated and some are in the midst of that, but there's always flexible working, right? Everyone does what they want. And I think a lot of that has to come back to the culture bit about trust and leadership, and you know, that has to be strong in order for that to be successful. So I think if there's not that, and there's not clear leadership, then people will probably take the piss a little bit and do what they want to do. But I think, you know, with that flexibility, it's like I'm concerned as my own business and for other businesses what gets lost out in terms of speed of communication, collaboration, creativity, water cooler moments of, you know, when we're in the office, there's a buzz and things happen, especially in the onboarding phase of a new employee, when we're not around to sort of show them things and mentor things, and you might feel stupid asking that question. Whereas if you're sitting across the desk from me, you can ask me something anytime you want. So have we gone too far to the remote working, and how do we get the balance back and people understand it? Because it's not about micromanagement. It's hard to articulate what I guess I'm talking about.
It's a brilliant question, and one that is being chewed over weekly. In fact, a week ago today, I hosted a Beamer breakfast with 10 agency owners, and I think I'd say probably over 50% of the time we discussed that exact point. And we were all cogitating over the fact that those water cooler moments, the learning via osmosis, just being in an environment, hearing Jane on the phone call over there dealing with a client issue, and people picking up on bits and say, oh, how did that call go? How did you navigate around that issue? That kind of stuff. Yeah. For people that are, you know, the future generations that are coming through in our businesses, they're just going to miss out on that. I think, you know, in my 20s, I used to love being in an office because you just picked up so much just by listening. And as you say, how do we fill that development void? I don't think people have answers for that yet. I certainly don't. And no one really had answers for it around the table last week. So I think that is going to definitely provide challenges as we move forward.
Yeah, I think like with anything, it will be balanced. But I think that the hardest part about all of that is the individuals, right? Because you're not just dealing with, you know, a sea of people that are all the same, all my employees, right? Everyone thinks and wants different things, and everyone's in different stages to their own lives. So, you know, if someone's got a dog or a partner or lives miles away or lives by the coast, they're all going to have impacts on what they want to do. And, you know, our companies, it's a bit like in communications when we've sort of moved to this tailored one-to-one need. How can we create an employee process that is almost one-to-one and bespoke? Is it possible? I don't even know. It's very tricky, and it's reliant on each other. So yeah, anyway, we could go down a sort of rabbit hole with that, but but yeah, like I think going back to sort of attracting clients, obviously you need some sort of flexible work from home policy, but advertising roles, I mean, obviously, you know, everyone needs to go to a recruiter right now. No, I'm just joking, but like, you know, what are the options to businesses out there, and what are the effective ways to advertise your roles?
So I think advertising nowadays hasn't got the impact that it used to have. I think if you put yourselves in the shoes of what I explained earlier, if you're in a business and everything, all the pillars are being ticked and you're motivated, engaged, being paid well, all that kind of stuff, you're not going to have a little route on LinkedIn at lunchtime because you don't need to, or an Indeed or whatever job boards you look at. So their effectiveness, we've seen the returns diminishing over several years, actually. So, I mean, the advice, the best businesses that I partner with, they are always, the mindset is always be recruiting. So try and always meet people, regardless of whether you have a job opportunity or not for them. So you're building, I guess, a passive bench of talent, so that when an opportunity might come along next quarter or the following quarter, you're not going, yeah, I need to find someone. I need to put a bum on a seat ASAP. You can go to half a dozen people that you've been building a relationship with over a period of time and go, right, Jenny, that opportunity that we've been talking about, this is now the role. This is what, this is a contribution you're going to make. How does it sound? Is it the right time for you? So that is the best way to be hiring, always be hiring kind of mentality. So a treadmill, try and have a treadmill, a rolling treadmill of people that you've met. I know it sounds, practically, it might sound really difficult if you're an agency owner and you've got 101 plates spinning every week. That is probably one of the most important pillars, talent pipeline pillar.
Being in sales and dealing with pipelines, like I completely empathize with that, because like new business, you've always got to have lots of plates spinning, and you've always got to be thinking long term. I do think with the candidate market, one of the challenges though I see is that works better, I would say, and I know you can push back on this, at a more senior role, at a senior level, at a junior role, and obviously with the speed of which things are turning around, I'm finding that, someone applied for a role with us last week, and by this week they've got a job, because I caught them on the back end of their thing, but things are moving so quick. Yes, you can maintain a relationship, of course, with those people, but I tend to find that, it's a bit like the rental market. You find a candidate and they're just gone because they're getting snapped up so quick. So it's hard. It's pipeline management. It's tricky.
Well, I think the best people are getting 3, 4, 5 offers at any one given stage. And it's ironic because I've always been taught to hire slowly and fire fast. Now you've got to hire fast and fire fast. So the lights have just gone off. Let me a sec.
Lost your light.
On the sustainable lighting. There we go. Sorry, just ran around the table. It's really tricky, actually, as you say. I think you've just got to have a virtual shop window open on your website, content marketing, do everything you can to make sure you're trying to passively magnetize talent to your doorstep. It's, I'll be dead honest, it's bloody hard. There's no one silver bullet to solve this problem. It's about being considered. As with the analogy, new business is exactly the same as talent pipelining. Make sure you've got all your channels of communications to market at any one given time working for you.
So should people have job vacancies on their website sort of all the time, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think that the best businesses that continue to hire the best people have always got an open list of potential vacancies on their website, and narrative surrounding that, saying if there isn't a role that specifically ticks the boxes you're looking for, we're always looking for talent that can add value to the culture and the direction of travel we're going in. And then, I'd always recommend that.
Just give a bit of advice for maybe smaller businesses then, who can't or aren't yet ready or willing to pay a recruiter the fees that they're looking for, and therefore have to go down, like they've got their own channels, right, but they're going to be fairly limited, right, depending on how big their network is. They have, surely, what are the, other than advertising, and I guess you've got LinkedIn and then you've got the job boards, like, is it worth it? Are there any other options to that? And is there any advice like of how to get the most out of those sort of job boards?
I guess what people could do, if you've got the in-house resource, is do your own headhunting, but that takes time. It takes a bit of craft. There's a lot of time that's invested and you might not get any results from it. So, I guess I know of business owners that say, yeah, I'll spend an hour or two here and there, just trying to link in with people, but it doesn't really work. It's quite haphazardous, that kind of approach. So if you can be a little bit more methodical and invest a bit more time into it, you probably will get results, but you've got to kiss frogs. It doesn't just happen overnight, like a new business deal. How long does it take to incubate and, from first meeting an individual to turning that into a meaningful business transaction? You might get lucky and it might be a short period of time, or it does take a while. And I think you and I have talked about over the years, over a beer, the origins of how we've made relationships and how long it's taken to actually win businesses. It just takes time and it's sophisticated. So I'm conscious I'm not really giving many solutions here, but I think for in the mindset of a small business, always be advertising on your own website, shout about it from the rooftops on all your social media channels. That might get tongues wagging, that sort of thing. If you do advertise on job boards, keep advertising. You might get lucky. And incentivize your people that work with you.
Find new talent to help you find people. People who work with you. Who do you know in your networks, guys? That's a good one.
Let's have a referral fee. So I know it's going to be. I know this will sound ridiculous. So we as a recruitment business have to engage with what's called recruitment to recruitment businesses. So what I mean by that is, there are recruitment business that will go and find recruiters to join other recruiters. Now, you're probably looking at me as I'm start raving mad. Why would I, as a recruitment company, pay a recruiter to? But the reason why is we spend all our time building networks of contacts within the fields that we will add value to our clients. So we don't have the in-house resource to be networking with all these different recruiters. So we do engage with a couple of strategic recruitment partners who will introduce us to talent.
I presume it's hard to find recruiters.
It's a nightmare. Yeah. It's exactly the same scenario as a business development person. It's that kind of challenge. But what we're now saying to our guys internally is the 20% recruitment fee that we pay to a recruiter, we will give to you guys if you can introduce us to people to come and work for us. So incentivize them. Yeah, it costs money, but it costs more money or not having a person to see doing a role for you. Yeah.
I think, the hardest thing I've always thought with BD roles is that they make great salespeople and therefore they probably interview quite well. And you might find this in the recruitment game because it's ultimately a sales-based role.
100%, yeah.
So I think, I guess the hardest question to ever ask you, but how do you see it? How do you determine a good salesperson? I see so many, and I'm always over. I probably get too optimistic, right? So I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. I think, they're saying the right things, they're great, but they might be pulling the wool over my eyes, or it's really.
Well, yeah, I'll be dead honest. I've had some stinkers over the years, of course. Because you're as like you, Adam, I'm always looking at the best of people. What can someone bring to the party? I think these kind of people can talk the talk, can't they?
Exactly.
And it's how you scrutinize them in an interview or a process to actually see. Well, let's just peel back a few of the layers here and actually see what you have actually done and what you've delivered. I'd always go for a bit of due diligence and ask them who I can speak to in your previous businesses. Definitely get, a couple of references, first and foremost. And I would always, do, obviously the first round interview is a bit of a cultural kind of, this is us, this is what we're about, this is where we're going. Tell us a bit about you. So it's a bit of first date kind of chat, isn't it? It's quite low level and that sort of thing. Second stage, if the candidate is interested, I'd put them through the paces. Talk us through a 90-day plan, how you go, exactly how you go about the strategy to delivery, how you execute, all that kind of thing. So you actually see them on their feet, put them through the paces, and get as many people as you can involved in the business, meeting them. We found that our staff over the years have been a lot more aligned in terms of they've spotted things in people and gone, do you know what? That person could be a bit of a cultural misfit. So don't fancy them, that sort of thing, a bit arrogant or whatever it might well be. And a great test is take them out for a couple of beers, see what they're like after 2 or 3 pints. You'd be amazed at how the facade is removed and their true selves are then presented.
I'm so with that. I just guess through the pandemic, we haven't had that for 2 years, right?
Yeah.
So that's been the hardest thing. We've had this, right?
Yeah.
Screens. And I think it's so hard to read people. And when you're in a room with someone, it just shows you, I think when you get into like, whether it's a pitch scenario or a recruitment scenario, you realize the limitations of Zoom and Teams and things. And you start to think like, you just can't have that. You don't have that relationship.
Yeah.
Like it's weird. It's like humans. It's just our instinct, right? It's body language. It's how we feel, how we act, everything about us. And you make completely different assumptions. So yeah, I'm pleased to be now going through the recruitment game again. I'm pleased to say I can now have physical meetings, and I'm hoping that will lead to like really good decisions. But on
the flip side, this remote interviewing or communication has really expedited processes, because it means you can get 2, 3, 4 people in a room interviewing someone, where, imagine pre-pandemic trying to get those people in a physical space in London or wherever, with people being here, there and everywhere. It was a nightmare. Processes could have taken 8, 10 weeks. Now the first stages of interviews can be done over 1 or 2 week periods. So it really is making it a lot more efficient. But the final stage, definitely try and do in person if you haven't been able to do it before.
Yeah, definitely. Just thinking about salespeople then, in terms of basics and commission and sort of salaries. And I know you did a report recently on some things. I think there might have been some BD stuff in there, but I'm just trying to work out like what's happened. Is it skyrocketed? And like commissions always seems to be a bit of a contentious point in the agency world. I think you went into other B2B sales roles, it would just be a given. But what's your thoughts on salaries?
Yeah, so salaries have definitely been chipping away northwards over the last 12 months or so, because of literally the lack of supply and demand. The analogy I use, it's very similar to the housing market at the moment, that especially in the north, houses are going on the market and they're having 30 viewings in a week and going to sealed bids and go for 10% over the asking price. It's quite similar, to be honest, that a really good commercial new business person goes out to market and they'll have 3 or 4 or 5 different offers within the space of a week, 2 weeks. Yes, commercial business developers are very much driven by what's going to be in it for them, but every other pillar needs to align with what they're looking for, etc. So basic salaries have definitely gone up a little bit, but as we all know, it's about what's the OTE looking like, what's going to get me out of bed at 6 a.m, jumping out of bed, flying into meetings, going to Timbuktu to go and meet someone. So I'd say an open-ended OTE is absolutely crucial, but obviously based on delivery or profit of.
I wanted to ask you about that actually. You've just reminded me. I did, because I see a lot of obviously OTE roles, right? And it just feels a bit like finger in the air, right? There's no science right behind OTEs. How do people work that out, and how realistic is it? Like if you're a candidate or even if you're an employer, I think it's very hard to work out an OTE personally.
Yeah, I guess there's no exact science. I think each agency will probably do a little bit of that, or probably say, right, we target is £1 million worth of billings, and then that's gross profit is X, and then that, and what it costs us is this, and then you get 20% of that. But I think the way to motivate, as you well know, is to make sure that people know if they do put in that extra hour every day and deliver that extra pitch or that extra big sizable piece of business, they get rewarded for it. So I've seen so many businesses that have said, yeah, this is your capped OTE. That's crazy. It's as though you're shackling a business developer and saying, well, yeah, do that, but that's the most you can earn. You want to get them going at 100 miles an hour 24/7.
Yeah, no, I get that. I've seen caps, because we charge commission on some of the wins we win. I'm wondering if that should apply to us as well, because depending on the size of the jobs you win, when you get into sort of the media spends of the millions, or you get into people winning, I don't know, 250k, 500k's worth of work, people do seem to expect that to round off a little bit for you not to keep earning at that level. Is that fair, or is that
I think as long as it's set out with clarity of communication of this is exactly how you're going to be remunerated against a deal, I think that is the most important thing. If there's a bit grey area of, you know, the media spend is this and that, that's when that people will start going, well, I've just worked my backside off to deliver that, and now you're chipping away at what my commission's going to be. So I would always advise, make sure there's absolutely the start of anyone working within a business, this is how you're going to get rewarded.
Yeah.
And so there's absolutely no grey area when the actual deal is delivered.
Well, that's the hard part, because I feel like at the beginning they're all willing to agree the commission structure, and then the deal, they win the deal, and suddenly it's like, oh, was that your deal? I had a role to play, maybe, and they try to chip away at it, and I see it a lot. And I think it's really damaging to that trust.
Well, that's poor leadership.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally poor leadership. So that goes back to the whole point of honesty and transparency, communication. This is how you're going to earn. This is how you're going to achieve, and this is how hopefully the agency and you are going to prosper from it.
And just on commission structures, because, you know, I've tied myself in knots sometimes with commission structures, and then you just end up like simplifying it because you're just driving yourself mad because it's impossible to implement or measure. But like we see, like you said, you know, we look at ratchets where you sort of if you hit a certain level, then it jumps up again. I mean, do you have any thoughts on commission, how to do it? Like, based on KPIs? Is it based on revenue won, or is it just got to be bespoke to the company?
Again, I've seen a whole multifaceted approach to it over the years. I guess there's no one size fits all with it. I think for simplicity, I think you can just say X% of anything over, there's anything in a quarter, X% of anything over X amount is what you'll earn. That's simple. Personally, I love the whole ratchet side of things, because you're therefore tapping into elite stroke high performers. They can see that once they get into that higher ratchet, they're going to earn 30, 40, 50% of any deal they bring in. So that really does drive focus and high performance. But as you say, that bad habits can then possibly creep into the way people are operating on that. So I guess each function has its pros and cons, and I wish I could present you with this is the best commission structure I've seen. I guess it's apples for apples, and you got to look at the business, the size, and the way that they invoice out their services. You can't just, there's no one size fits all for it, unfortunately.
I guess at the heart of this is what we're talking about is sort of psychology of people, and we're talking about motivation, we're talking about earning potential, but we're also talking about culture. And it's like, my wife works for a company that is relatively sales based in sort of the partnerships game, and she doesn't have an individual bonus, right? And she outperforms people on her team, but it's a team related bonus. And the company do that on purpose for obvious reasons. They want the team, they want that togetherness. And there's that that case of like, give them, all the incentive. They'll just go and care about themselves, and they keep it, they keep their cards close to their chest, and they don't open up. But then it also limits her earning potential when you don't get that high achievement. So yeah, it's just
for me, that's the most woolly way of putting together a performance related plan. At my previous business, the PLC I worked for, the bonus was based on individual and team based. So I could have gone and smashed it, but the team underperformed. So my expectation was that, but I got that because the team didn't perform. So that is one way in my mind to demotivate a high performer, because if you're a high performer, you want to be rewarded on what you do. And I think there should, if you're working like that, have an individual based bonus, but then also have a wider business-based bonus. Make sure that is absolutely mapped out on what you need to do as a team to achieve that bonus. Otherwise, again, it's just finger in the air, it's nebulous, and how do you get rewarded? Yeah,
it's mad to limit someone. I agree, and I guess it's about sitting down with each individual and understanding what motivates them. Because also, like, we're talking about commission, but we've talked about lots of things in terms of people. It's not the be all and end all, right? And often I get that. I'm not sure how much I believe it. Say like, money's not the key objective here, and I'm like, is it? Is it real? Like, I never know, because in sales, like, people are looking for obviously a lot more. They want to be passionate about the product and the service they're selling. They do want the leadership. It could be about the way we work or the culture and things like that are more interesting to them. So they sort of say money's not a key motivator, but you need to, I don't know whether you have a clever way of asking this, you need to ascertain how important money is to them. It's a bit like asking the budget question in a brief.
Yeah.
They say it's not important until the last minute, and it's like, yeah, we need more money.
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, I think, when you're doing your scrutinizing your talent, what are your aspirations, what are your ambitions, what's important to you about the role, the commission, the package, your personal development, your flexible working. I think the whole, work-life balance is a really important one at the moment. We've got, I'd say half of our businesses return to work mums who do 4-day week for us, and they're our most productive because they've got the flexibility to dodge and weave a little bit, and that is a really important retention tool for us, that they feel that they can, be a great mum and work for us at the same time. And a lot of other recruitment companies won't offer that.
Yeah, I mean, we did a session actually, I think last year or a while back in the pandemic, about mums and in BD and that whole side of things, and how companies need to be able to be more sort of open and accommodating to different working scenarios. And I think it's slowly getting there, shall we say. It's, it's got a long way to go. But even that balance between fathers and mothers and things, and that expectation, we won't go down that because it's a whole nother probably conversation. But I did want to talk to you briefly about diversity, though, about, because we know there's a lack of diversity in the agency world, and we know there's stats linking it to sort of boosting profitability and productivity by like 36% and things like that, touted about with a more diverse workforce. So, what are you seeing in terms of that to encourage more diversity? Because I think it also plays a role in, it's not just the culture you're trying to create and equality, but it's also attractive from a new business perspective to people going out there to pitch. I've had clients of mine, bunch of sort of white middle-aged men, and they're like, oh, we need to get more women on the call, we need more women in the team because we don't look attractive. So are you seeing that as a motivator for recruitment?
So definitely over the last 18 months, 2 years, when we've been chatting, having a discovery session with clients, they have been saying, we want to see more of a diverse selection of backgrounds of individuals. And I think, the reality of the situation is, we can go and search for these. When push comes to shove, I think people make the decision they want who is the best person for the role. Rightly or wrongly, I don't know. I don't have an answer to that, but it's definitely being pushed up to the top of the agenda. And I totally believe in, cultural diversity really does enrich cultures and brings so many more different mindsets and strengths to a culture of the business. But I think you can either play at it or absolutely be 100% fully aligned and behind it. And I've seen businesses that are playing at it and are still playing at it and not really getting there with it. And on the flip side, businesses that have got that 100%, this is our ED&I policy, and we are going to live and die by it. And they're the ones that are really flourishing with it.
So it's about commitment, and I guess
it's commitment. It's commitment. Everyone owning the process, if you like, and understanding the value it can bring to a business.
And I guess it's changes top to bottom, isn't it? Because it's also leadership, right? Like anyone, you've got to see a diverse leadership or a board, right, of people to inspire and to know that that's part of the DNA and the culture of the business, as opposed to just ticking a box, So I think.
Well, it's top down and bottom up. I think the businesses that I've seen where it really does run through the whole culture are the ones that are really flourishing with it, and everyone buys into it.
Yeah. So let's just talk a little bit about retention. I think we touched on it at the beginning about how important it is. So, I mean, obviously it's a candidates market, it seems, at the moment. What can companies be doing better to retain talent, and sort of what trends have you seen?
Again, I think key challenges are engaging and hiring these people first and foremost, and we all know how painstakingly long that process can take and how arduous it can be and how many near misses it can take. to get the right person, and then retaining them once you've gone through that process, the hours across the leadership that people have put into that to get that hire. So what do you need to do to retain them? I think first and foremost, a really good, rigorous, robust induction period. Make sure that person comes in, and the first 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, first couple of months or so, absolutely mapped out. Because without that is where I think people know whether or not that's going to be the right business for them, that first initial quarter that they're with the business. So make sure that's absolutely mapped out. So first and foremost, that, I think, a route map for personal development. What does the next 12 months look like? You know, that you're here now as an individual. This is how you're going to grow personally. This is the training we're going to give you. This is all that kind of good stuff. So that culturally, what do people want? You know, what do I need, or what does every individual need from a business to enable them to perform in the very best way that aligns with their personal responsibilities, i.e. they like to drop the kids off in the morning, or pick the kids up at night, or they want to have a 4-day week, that sort of thing. I think it's all about just listening and asking questions of the people that work with you, and making sure that everything is aligned. Until you really understand what is important to an individual from a work and life balance, it's hard to you can't just be a cookie cutter with it. You've got to really, I guess, tailor that to that individual. And that's what we're seeing with businesses that are really doing well to retain the best people.
I think, look, I completely agree. And I've worked at some of the big agency networks, and I've seen all that put in place. And I guess if any of our people, and maybe this is from a selfish perspective, because we're a small business, right? And so I know what you're saying, but I don't necessarily have the expertise to build a personal development plan or an onboarding plan, or what that looks like. Like, what advice would you have for them? Like, are there any resources out there, or is it books? Are there places we can go? Can you help companies in any sort of way to sort of say, what does that look like, or how do I?
I mean, we can definitely advise on that. Personally, I'm not the very best person in our business to do it, because we've got a great operations team, and my operations director, she has spent years building this. So I guess if anyone on the call wants a little bit of advice on that, just drop me an email, and I'll hand the reins over to Leanne, and hopefully she'll be able to advise on that. I'm sure there's stuff that we can share on that, or maybe some white papers that we've done over the past. So there's definitely some stuff that we can share to the members of the community that might well help.
Yeah, that'd be great. Like anything, best practice, tools and guides, that kind of stuff, to sort of go, oh yeah, that's what I should be thinking about. Because it's so easily, when you're a small business, you know what it's like. Quickly, you're jumping, you're running, and then you're forgetting, and you're thinking, oh God, and you do need to do all those kind of appraisals. And
just a little checklist of making sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm sure we can provide that.
And particularly with BD people, we talked about sort of the investment in staff, but particularly in BD, one of the things I bang on about is the lack of investment in BD. And by that, I mean, training and support, but also tools and systems and things they might need. That there always seems to be this real reluctance to invest in BD, whether it's invest in the people or what they need. And every step of the way, it's like, oh, I've just spent this much on you. You're asking me to sign up to this tool and that tool. How much, and I just think the expectations, of those business owners and the investments are completely off.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, really, isn't it? Sales, business development is the lifeline of every business. And although it's, as Brits still see the sales word as being a dirty, grubby word, don't we? And permanent or a development, people need that. I've not got all the answers. We're trying to work on our development plan for our commercial people. We outsource it, to be honest with you. It's not something we can do in-house, but I guess asking every individual where are you now? Where do you need help? There must be some great stuff out there. There must be some great Dale Carnegie stuff out there, or so many good things to do. But it's, do people want to invest in that, in an individual? And like you say, is there a CRM tool? How much is that going to cost? But then the question from the business owner is, well, what's the ROI going to be, and when's that going to land? So it's such a tough balance to get right.
I mean, it's one of the reasons why we launched BD Matters, because, you know, if you're a creative or a strategist out there, right, and some of the other roles, there seems to be a lot more community and places to go for support, you know.
100%.
And when I was developing through my career, there wasn't really BD places for BD people. There wasn't places to learn, and it's almost thought like BD is just like the school of life. Like you're just good at sales or you're not, and you've either got the gift of the gab or you don't. Yeah. And like, don't get me wrong, there's a bit of nature and nurture here. Like there are natural salespeople, but sales is complicated, as we discussed, and you don't have to be an extrovert to be good at sales. You could be an introvert that's good at sales and do it in a very different way. And also with the tools and the systems available to you, you know, copywriting and writing incredible blogs that might have an impact on SEO or might draw engagement is a form of business development.
Yeah.
And you don't need to be out there selling and pitching. You might just be a writer. So I think it's about understanding what skills you need, but then also giving those BD people like a place to go and learn, a place to develop, you know, further their careers and in whatever place they want to get to. And you know,
what's been crazy over the years is people, great business development people, say, oh, I'm really crap at admin. Well, that's not good enough, because you need to be organized, you need to be on point with your CRM. That is one of the most important skills. You've got to be all over the detail to enable you to be a great business development person. So that sort of stuff doesn't wash with me.
Yeah, exactly. No, there needs to be more investment.
Yeah.
But listen, I think we're gonna have to wrap things up. I don't know if anyone's got any last minute questions that are burning a hole. If any, you can jump in quickly now, or we can obviously get questions to Léon.
Yeah. And if people want to link in with me, send me an email. I'll try and help out and give whatever insights I can. More than happy to do so.
Cool. Okay, great. Well, thanks, Léon. Really appreciate your insight. That was fascinating.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, good to meet you all. And yeah, look for hopefully your next your drinks do. I'll be able to make it down from Manchester.
We'll let you know. We're looking at some dates in June, so we'll be in touch.
A rooftop bar sounds very enticing.
I've left Anne to the details, because she's the party planner. So
brilliant.
Yeah, there's always seems to be booze around at our parties, which no one complains too much with.
Sounds perfect.
But yeah, for everyone else, that we've got, our next event is on the 20th of April at 12. So we've got Zoe Mitchell from Wonderman, and we've got Kim French at Head of Marketing at Preen. So that's sort of a drop-in surgery. You can come along, ask some questions to some really experienced BD people to get some help and advice. Yeah, they're all designed for you. So bring your challenges, and we've got loads planned in the pipeline. So we're going to be launching a sort of members referral scheme soon, something called Wolf Packs, which we will tell you about in due course. And also, if you haven't booked your onboarding call with Anne, just get in touch, drop us an email, and we'll get you booked in. But yeah, I think that's all from us. Thank you, Léon. And
thanks for having me
on the next one.
Cheers, Adam. Cheers, Adam.
Bye, guys.
Bye.